me be Mistress Cecily Flack, alewife extraordinaire and purveyor of fine potables. And together we do be
a class act.
Feel free to
Yes,
insert laughter here.
yes. You always wait for the laughter, yes.
And this do be
Casks
Casks
and Flasks. And those of you who are here, not for the first time, welcome back.
Indeed. Now this do be a 9-week show. Each week we talk about a different beverage that we will drink here in the year of our Lord, 1537. But before we get to all of our beverages, we'd like to find out a little about you. So first of all, how many of you have wandered into a Casks and Flasks show for the very first time and are thinking, what have I gotten myself into? Raise your hand.
Oh,
Oh.
well, we have quite a few new victims. I mean, you are visitors, yes. But you are what we call our kegs.
We think of you as untapped potential.
Yes.
How many of you have been to a few of our shows? Here and there, maybe somewhere.
Yes, wonderful.
Actually, this here, right here. Yes, we call you our regs.
Regs. That's very self-explanatory.
Now, how many of you have been to many of our shows? Perhaps you visit with us on Wednesday evenings on the Great Book of Faces. You know who you are. Raise your hands. This is who you aspire to be. These are our dregs. The dregs are what is left in the bottom of the barrel when everything else is gone. It is the strongest, the stoutest, the hardiest of all that we have to offer. And together you all make up our
Caskaways.
There we go. So welcome one and all. Remember, you too can be a drag. So last week we did open and we did start by talking about cider, because cider is the most popular drink in Oxfordshire here in the year of our Lord 1547. And in coming weeks we will talk about mead
And wine.
and a brandy
Ooh, and rum.
and whiskey.
And Geneva, also known as gin.
And of course we finish every year with our last weekend on
Specialty drinks.
But today we are talking about that which is nearest and dearest to my heart. We are talking about ale and beer.
Yes.
But before we get started, we'd like to tell you a little bit about us. Now, Master Connor,
Yeah,
I did hear you say that you were an ale conner, and I am guessing that some of these people do not know what an ale conner is. Could you please explain?
Well, yeah, once again, you are close.
What do you mean I am close?
I am not an ale conner. I am the ale conner for all of Oxford. You see, in each ale conner is appointed by His Majesty, and I am appointed as the ale conner for Oxfordshire. What does that mean? I test the ale to make sure it is ale and that it is good. I regulate the ale, make sure that it is not a there's nothing in it that shouldn't be, like fungus or soot or things like that some people will put in.
I personally like a mushroom ale, but fine.
That's not the type of fungus I'm talking about. And I set the ale prices. You are welcome. Now, you may laugh at that, but how many of you have bought an ale this day?
You just look right over here at this group. I can tell
Yes.
they've been drinking. I like them already.
Good sir. Do you remember what you paid when you bought an ale for a pint of ale? What was it? 14. That was for one pint. For 2 pints.
2 pints.
For 2 pints, see?
For 1 pint.
For 1 pint,
7
7 shilling only. If you were to go to Buckinghamshire or some other county and see a bear baiting or a madrigal concert
Or a jousting
tournament, you would pay at least 20 shilling for less than a pint.
Oh, you know, you've been to the places, right?
Oh, yes,
They
those
charge
prices
you
are...
big numbers for small amounts.
Aye. Well, not here in Oxfordshire. You get the full pint of ale for only 7 shilling.
Huzzah!
All right. So, what does an ale conner do? how does the ale kana test the ale? I'm glad you asked. Mr. Cecily, I understand you have ale. Would you like to test it?
Oh, indeed.
Yes, it is in here.
Ah,
Yes.
when there's
All-
more in here.
all
That's
right.
the testing
But
part.
this is to be tested.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Right.
what I do is I pour the ale in my ale cup.
Your what?
My ale cup.
What is an ale?
All right. Well, you know the French. The French, they have this fancy title. Those who know wine and serve wine and all that, and they call themselves sommeliers. Yes. Well, you know the fancy French with their battle flags flying around. They're not officials. They're just hooty-tooty. And they have what they call a vin cup. Well, I thought, well, I'm an official, I should have something too. So I have an ale cup. I call it my kana.
And you named it after yourself.
But of course. So I take the ale in my kana cup, and of course I do smell it, ensure that it has not been made rancid, for in the heat it could happen. You know, I look in it, make sure there's nothing floating in it that it shouldn't. You know, no flies trying to do the backstroke or anything like that. And then, of course, I then do test it. Yes, I pour it upon my bench.
What is wrong with you? That ale was too young to die.
Well, how else am I going to test the ale?
Maybe you could taste it?
Oh, nay, I would not taste something I do not know if it's ale or not. Now, me ladies, can you see this? Here. As this falls to the bottom, it is very important. This is a 3-minute timeout. Please call time when this falls to the bottom. It doesn't matter if I'm talking, interrupt me. If she is talking, please interrupt her, because it may be the only way you can get her to stop talking. So, I sit in the ale on my cathedra.
Your what?
Yes, I call it my kana cathedra.
A cathedral, like when a bishop sits down in a church.
Yes, it's very official. And so, using my kana cover.
Hold. Where to? Your kana cover.
Aye.
Do not most kanas wear leather breeches?
Aye, they do, but in the heat of the day, I do not want to be wearing leather breeches all day long. And I certainly don't want to be walking around in breeches that I've sat in ale.
Actually, first thing he said that's made sense all day.
All right, so I sit for a good 3 minutes. And at the end of the 3 minutes, I check to see if I can slide upon the bench, and that as I stand, I am released from the bench easily. If I stick to the bench, or this has happened sometimes, the bench sticks to me, that's another reason I have the kana cover. I can just take this off, and I don't have to walk around with it with me. So,
Is that kind of like having a stick up?
so at the end of 3 minutes, if I am able to stand up easily, then the ale, the sugars in the ale have turned to alcohol, and then I know it is ale. It's very scientific. Very scientific. If, however, I stick to the bench, or it sticks to me, as I said earlier, then the sugar has not yet turned to alcohol, and it is only nearly ale.
Is that like near beer?
Aye, nobody wants that.
However, that is not quite the same as having non-alcoholic beer, which you can now get brought to you at any one of our pubs by Sam Adams Just the Haze, promoting a class act since 1537.
And I have it in my mug right here.